Hey, what's up guys, John here. The migrant crisis, many people have an opinion on it. I don't.
Severity and dangers of the migrant crisis.
Chaos breaks out as migrants desperately seek shelter.
We support asylum seekers balance full ground.
Protesting a new plan to temporarily house asylum seekers in school gyms.
But what I do know is what's about to happen to the U.S. economy. Housing, shelter costs, inflation, taxes.
Biden administration is granting nearly 500,000 Venezuelan migrants temporary legal status that will allow them to access work permits in the United States.
There's a lot of changes that are now being enacted. I saw this on Twitter, by the way. And then I went down the rabbit hole looking at all these different things to see, is this true? Is this actually going to happen? Where's this country really going? You start to look at this, it's pretty shocking. They say that immediate work permits to every, I'm not going to read that, person released from custody, right? 5,000 per day allowed in America, right? They even have taxpayer-funded attorneys, right? All of these increase the green cards, 50,000 a year. They have all of these changes that are coming. You have to ask yourself, how is America able to fund this? How is America going to be able to, accomplish this, right? If this is what they're looking to do, how are they going to be able to accomplish this? Well, I'm going to show you what's about to happen. I'm going to show you on whitehouse.gov. I'm going to show you what they are saying is happening. It's undisputable. When it comes from their website and it says, this is the future, this is what's going to happen, and they say it 5 or 6 different times, all across last year and the former year, you connect the dots and you see things so clearly. America is going through a big change, and I'm going to show you what that change is going to look like. Please hit the like button. When you hit the like button, YouTube will share the content, educate more people about what's happening in America and our economy. And on this channel, I talk about personal finance, real estate, business, and money. Nothing political, but everything factual about what's really happening to our economy. If you'd like to fix your credit, we'd love to help you. And my company, GreatCreditFast.com, that's GreatCreditFast.com. If you have late payments, medical bills, charge-offs, foreclosures, bankruptcies, repossessions, or any negative item on your credit report, go to GreatCreditFast.com. Click the link in the description just below this video. Schedule a free strategy session for tomorrow. Take a look at this. So, when I looked at this, I'm like, is this real? Is this actually happening? How is this all going to work? Well, look at this. Biden opens a backdoor, universal basic income. You look at that and you're like, all right, well, maybe they have all these new people that are going to be coming here and they're going to be getting monthly checks. Not just them, us as well. Everyone's going to start receiving monthly residual checks. And then you start looking at how fast universal basic income has been growing. Right now, there's 82 participating cities across 29 states, up from 11 participating cities in 2021. So a 700% increase. So then you look at this. This is yesterday, right? This came out yesterday, the 12th. And what they say is the same exact thing that they're reporting right here. And what they say is immediate work permits to every person released from custody, immediate. So you think about this. If you're a large corporation, if you are a small business owner, and everyday American, they have student loan debt, they have credit card debt, they have auto loans, they have high cost of living. They need somebody that's going to be able to help justify, their work to be able to pay their bills and be able to live, right? Someone coming here with no credit card debt, no student loans, no auto loans, they come here with a clean slate. Maybe they come with their family and they all live in one location. Everyone can work together. Or maybe it's just 2 brothers, 3 people. Maybe it's just one person. But they're coming here and they're receiving revenue. They're receiving money and being placed in a job. They're going to be in a better position and they're going to be able to compete against, an American. And not even just compete and win, right? They're saying tax-funded lawyers, right? And they say that it's a pretty big number that 5,000 people will be able to, become citizens every single day, right? 5,000 people a day. So that number is 1.825 million people every single year, right? That's on the low end. That's not considering anyone else, right? 1.8 million people. They say so far in 2023, it was about 2.5 million. So you see the trend. You see what's happening. Now let's look at what whitehouse.gov is saying. And I'm going to pull this down a little bit just so you can see the URL. Whitehouse.gov. Biden's budget lowers housing costs and expands access to affordable rent and home ownership. They go on to say, this is the foundation for so much else in our economy. The lack of quality affordable housing hinders the job market and holds back economic growth. By making it harder for workers to access good paying jobs, it drives up costs for families and inflationary pressures. I mean, we've heard a lot that landlords are the ones to blame for inflation. It's not a lot of policies that were enacted the last few years. It's not a lot of poor decisions. It's exclusively housing costs. They say 70% of inflation is due to housing costs. They don't talk about rising cost of insurance, rising cost of taxes, rising cost of maintenance on properties. They don't talk about all that. They just talk about just the housing cost, what people are going through, renters. And so what they do, or what they have here, is they have a plan. And here's what that plan looks like. First, they say while around 2.3 million low-income households receive rental assistance through the Housing Choice Voucher program, another roughly 10 million are eligible and do not receive assistance due to funding limitations and wait lists. The administration has secured rental assistance for an additional 100,000 households through an American Rescue Plan. In the 2022 and 2023 appropriation bills, and in January, the administration announced a blueprint for a renter's Bill of Rights, which enumerated principles to shape federal, state, and local action and announce agency commitments to strengthen tenant protections and encourage rental affordability. They've even discussed something called rent control, a federal rent control. Now, you have rent control in some cities such as New York City and San Francisco and Los Angeles, which is a set of rules and guidelines enacted by local governments that tell landlords what they are and are not able to do with their own property. Now, a federal rent control would it would really kind of change the game for property owners. If they're only able to increase rent 2 or 3%, but insurance and taxes are skyrocketing and it's growing at a much faster clip than 2 or 3% a year, what's ultimately going to happen is it's going to get harder to hold on to these properties, right? Well, what they are proposing to do is really move in and do this. So they want to put $175 billion towards housing investments, $175 billion, and invest in building and preserving millions of affordable homes for rent and ownership and reducing barriers to housing production. You think about what is happening. This massive quote-unquote investment is a huge reach into the pockets and into the soil of America. When you're investing to preserve millions, they're basically investing to have a say and really take over in some capacity control over a lot of property, right? So here's how this is all going. I mean, it's just shocking, really. So first, they want to promote commercial residential office conversions, right? Offices, when you look at what's happened to the office market, especially in a lot of big cities, some of these buildings are dropping in value by 50, 75, 80% in value in just the last couple of years. And so what's happening? Now they are moving to invest heavily into converting these offices into residential property. Now, some people might say, okay, well, that's not going to happen. It's too expensive. There's no way. Look, when you look at what's being financially incentivized and you look at what's actually becoming law and you look at what they're saying, that's what's going to happen. So they say that promoting commercial to residential conversion opportunities, particularly for affordable and zero-emission buildings, right, housing. So they go on to say that that converting offices to residential is better for the environment. So maybe I'm not sure. I don't have the science. I don't have the information that they're looking at. Maybe, but I don't know. It just sounds interesting, right? So they say the administration takes action to create more affordable housing by converting commercial properties to residential use. The Biden-Harris administration is announcing new actions to support the conversion of high vacancy commercial buildings to residential use, including new financing, technical assistance, and the sale of federal properties. These announcements will create a much needed housing that is affordable, energy efficient, near transit, good jobs, reduce greenhouse emissions, nearly 30% of which comes from the building sector. They have an intensive plan for all of these properties. And so when you look at what's happening right now with rents are softening, borrowing costs are going up, mortgage rates are going up. A lot of investors, a lot of landlords, a lot of office property owners have to refinance their properties in the next couple of years, meaning that they're going to have a hard time. As they have a hard time doing that, they're likely going to be giving these properties back to the bank. And as that happens, the White House has $35 billion for investors to start to convert these properties to affordable housing, right? To convert these properties. So you have to think about it. If you add in all this supply, the rental market's going to continue to soften. If rents are going to continue to likely soften over the next few years, 3 years, 5 years, and borrowing costs stay elevated for longer than expected, like they are right now. Many people are anticipating a Fed pivot January 1st, 2023, and nearly a year later, and that Fed pivot's not here, and it doesn't look like it's coming anytime soon. Then you have insurance and taxes going up. You have a disaster awaiting many landlords, right? And a massive opportunity for the White House to be able to complete their goal, which is to convert these properties. Now, $35 billion. Let's look at how much damage is being done right now to the office sector so you can get an idea of what's about to happen to America. So this property, right, another 155,000 square foot office tower in downtown Washington, D.C. just sold for $18 million, or $116 a foot. And you can't build this for probably, $300, $400 a foot, especially today with today's labor cost, material cost. So you look at this, they're buying it for, 25, 30 cents on the dollar in replacement cost. And this property sold for $62 million in 2017. $62 million, and then now it just traded for 18. You're like, okay, maybe that is a one-off. This deal right here, 195,000 square foot office complex, sold for $9.5 million, or $48 a foot. And, seller acquired it for $31 million just 3 years ago. So we lost 70%. 70% in 3 years. Unreal. I mean, like this one here. This office tower, 339,000 square foot office tower in Washington, D.C., sold for $30 million, right? And before it sold in 2019 for $134 million. The seller lost $104 million, right? This is happening all across America. So when you add in, here's another one, office building, downtown Washington, D.C., sold for $36 million. Before it sold $100 million, including several million spent for renovations. So when you look at what's happening, you can see very, very clearly. According to the World Bank, I mean, you can see right here, they say some 56% of the world population, 4.4 billion inhabitants, live in cities. This trend is expected to continue with urban populations more than double its current size in about the next 26 years. At what point 7 in 10 people will live in cities, with more than 80% of global GDP generated in cities. Urbanization can continue to sustain growth through increased productivity and innovation and manage well. Right? They go on to say that cities play an increasingly important role in this. Well, just so happens that converting office buildings to residential is something that helps with this, according to the White House, right? So you start to really look at what's happening. You have a lot more people coming. You have a labor market that's softening. You have a situation where consumers are in more credit card debt than ever before, more household debt than ever before, and you're going to have a chase to the bottom, a race to the bottom for wages. Basic wages. I'm talking retail jobs, coffee shops, the everyday, entry-level jobs. They're likely going to see a lot more competition. So you're going to begin to see a lot of change coming and a lot more demand for assistance incoming, which will likely be this in the coming, I would say probably a year or two, right? So you're going to look at this massive change. What I believe is going to happen over the next year, maybe 2, 3 years, you're going to see millions of Americans that are already working remote look to places like Mexico, Costa Rica, Peru. They're going to start looking to move to other locations where maybe it's more affordable. Maybe it's more in line with, their lifestyle. Maybe they just want change. We're walking into a massive migration of people coming in and out of this country. What do you think? Where do you see America going? Drop below. Let's have a conversation. And if you'd like to fix your credit to position yourself, what I believe is going to be a massive, massive wealth transfer, you're going to need great credit. If you have late payments, medical bills, charge-offs, foreclosures, bankruptcies, repossessions, or any negative item on your credit report, go to GreatCreditFast.com. Book a call for Monday. We'd love to give you a free strategy session, and I'll catch you next video.